Hi everybody, welcome to today's lesson, and today is about self-reflection, and that means you're thinking about yourself, you're reflecting about your learning, and this is for the whole school year and at home too. During this time we've been learning and teaching at home. So I want you to think the whole year through from September, way back in September, and right up into June. This is the month of June now. So I want you to think overall how your learning was. And this is something that we talk about, and reflection means to take a good look at yourself. How are you doing? And I remember the posters in our classroom, the undeveloped, developing, capable, and powerful. And sometimes I would ask you to think, how are you doing? How is your work today? How are you outside at recess? How were you at lunchtime today? So we always have reflection time. We think about that. And that's a way to assess ourselves. How to I want you to tell me how you're thinking or assessing yourself, okay? And so this is really important for us to do today. I want you to take good long listen to my lesson, and I want you to be careful in your thinking, okay? And honest. It's always about being very honest. This is not a reflection where I'm looking for all the excellent answers that could possibly be, but it's a reflection about what you're thinking and how you're feeling, because that's the honest answer I'm looking for, okay? So remember that today. That's really important. So parents and boys and girls, you won't see a copy of this coming through this week because I'm showing it here on the YouTube, but we have these on our whiteboard at school. So remember, these are in magnets, and they're on the board, and every once in a while I would point to one of these and say, how are you managing with this right now? Or how are you doing with communication? Are you able to talk with your classmate? Are you being a productive clock buddy person? And that's communicating. And so we're going to just take a few minutes to walk through this. So please have the worksheets that you need to have ready. These ones here that have the little circles on them, okay? And this is where I'm going to have you do some checking for me, but I'll talk about that in a minute. So these two sheets, as well as a self-reflection sheet, okay? And it says the core competencies. And this is part of our language and our report cards that we look at all year, and that's why teachers are focused on this all year. And we talk about it, remind you of it, and so that you are aware of what it is that you are actually learning to be about and what you're thinking about. And are you remembering to be polite or kind or communicating? So you can pause the video now and make sure you have your pencil ready and those worksheets, and I'll walk you through it. Okay, so we're ready to go. So I'll just show you again, and remember these are colorful on our whiteboard at school, but let's talk about what they mean so that when you are filling out the sheet after this, you'll be reminded, okay? So that's what my job is today, is to remind you of what these mean. And what is your job today? Yeah, your job is to fill it out to your honest reflection, okay? And then you're going to write me some words or some sentences or a paragraph about how you're feeling about it, okay? So listen carefully now. Let's take a look at this particular magnet, and I'm just randomly going through them. So the first one I have here is social responsibility. Well, think about what that means. We have here solving problems in peaceful ways. That's one of the things that we can look at. Can you solve a problem in a peaceful way? Yeah, have you ever found yourself in having a problem with maybe some work at school? And what's a peaceful way to solve the problem that you might be having? Yeah, it could be put your hand in the air for me to see you, or you could ask a friend next to you quietly. Right? That's peaceful way. How about at recess? Maybe you were outside playing with some friends, and oh dear, somebody said they might not want to play with you today, but that's okay. They're allowed to do that. And so that became a problem for you. How did you solve that? Was it peaceful? Or did you cause a problem on top of that, right? And we've talked about this in class, so you know what I'm thinking and what I'm saying to you. So those are some ideas there. Take a look at now the next one. It's communication. Communication. Connecting with others. Yeah. Are you able to connect with others in a good, positive way? Yeah. So connecting with others or communication. Did you connect with me in a good, positive way? Did you have a conversation with me? Yeah, that's in a positive way. And being polite and respectful. That's communicating. How about creative thinking? Yeah, it says generating ideas. Oh, I see a light bulb here and a wand here. And if you're thinking along these lines, if you're generating ideas, that means you're coming up with your own thinking. And we've had projects that we've done. We've had group projects, we've had Clock Buddy projects, and we've had individual projects. Not building a project necessarily, but just a work or a poster. Remember we worked on posters together? Or just your own work that I need you to complete. So were you creative in your thinking? Did you pause? Did you stall? Did you put your head down on the desk and say, I can't do this? Well, that would be undeveloped or developing at the moment. But were you capable? Did you create some thinking? I know I can do this because Mrs. Suzeki set me up with ideas on the board, and I can take those ideas and what I learned from my classmates, and I can come up with my own ideas. That is generating ideas, okay? How about this one? Personal and cultural identity. I am me. And that means you are you, whoever you are, right? You could be anybody. And do you embrace yourself? Do you think, I am me and I am proud of being me? So that's what that means, okay? Personal and cultural. And we have lots of people in our classroom. We are multicultural. We come from different backgrounds, cultural backgrounds, and embrace that. This is who you are, and we all live together in Canada. I notice a Canadian flag there. And some of us can walk, some of us aren't able to walk. Maybe you are hard of hearing or deaf, as I learned today this morning, and I was in a study about that today. Clara knows all about that. And so that, and yeah, you're from any part of the world, and we happen to live here in Canada. And so you can say who you are. You're happy to be you, okay? Two more. Let's start with this fellow here. Personal awareness and responsibility. Big words. Awareness, and I've talked about that in the class, and responsibility. Are you being responsible? Are you doing your job as a student? And we talk about that a lot. And it says here, my goals. Well, we did that in January when we came back from Christmas and New Year's this year, remember? We set some goals for improvement. If you thought an area you were undeveloped or developing in that you wanted to improve to get to capable, right? So we learned all about goals. And so self-regulation is part of that. And we talk a lot about self-regulation, the zones of regulation in our school. And we have all of those fun posters or the magnets on the board that remind us of what zone we're in, right? And so how are you doing with that? Are you aware of your zone? Where are you at with that? How and what do you need to be better? To maybe you're having a blue zone, and that's okay. We all have blue zones. How do you come out of that blue zone, right? Okay. And the last one is critical thinking, develop and design. Critical thinking, that's a hard one to wrap our heads around in grade 3, but it goes along with generating ideas. And are you thinking critically? Meaning, if I ask a question, do you think of a question past that? That would be critical thinking. Are you expanding your ideas? Are you thinking, well, I heard this today, I learned about this, but what about this? That's critical thinking. You're analyzing that thought, and then you take it to the next level. You think, I wonder. And often we have I wonder statements or questions like that. Critical thinking, okay? So that means that they're focused, right? See the book there, writing, and working hard to understand something that you need to learn about, okay? So those are the magnets on the board at school, and I wanted to bring that to the front of your mind, right? And we know parts of our brain that need to be working right now, okay? So let's take a look then. We started with communication, right? So these are the same squares, just the same titles that we just had, but inside are all the components or all the parts. It means to have communication. So it says connect and engage with others, which is what we've talked about. The first one says, and you read along with me, I ask and respond to simple, direct questions. If you feel that that is capable to powerful, give it a check mark. And if you're thinking that any one of these sentences is for you more undeveloped or developing, which we know is okay, you need to work on that a little bit more. And sometimes to be aware, that's where the awareness comes in, that, oh, yeah, I need to be more onto that. I need to be thinking, I need to ask and respond to simple questions a little bit more. I need to try a little harder. Don't check it for me today. But this is what I want you to be honest and think, yeah, I do this capably or powerfully, okay? How about I am an active listener. I support and encourage the person speaking. So we've had presentations in our classroom. For an example, that would look like if someone's giving a presentation and somebody started to, do a shout out, then you're not an active listener because you're busy shouting out about something else and you're interrupting at that point. So that's just an example of that. Maybe you might not put a check in that circle then if you think you need to work on that a little harder, okay? But if you're a person who sits oftentimes, which is capable, to make sure that that you're the listener, and remember, we did this in drama as well. There's the active participant, the drama people, and then there's the audience, the listeners. And we've talked about that a lot in our classroom. How about I give, receive, and act on feedback? Feedback. So that's the teacher re-explaining something for you, or a clock buddy could help you explain something to you. And it says, I give and receive. So do you help somebody and then do you listen to other people? And that's the communication piece. Right? I can work with others and take on roles and responsibilities in a group. Well, we've had group work, and so we know what that looks like. We all have had a role in our groups, and you've had responsibilities. And every time we've had a project as a group project, remember, I've designated sometimes leaders for that particular group, and other times I've let you decide who the leaders would be, and then other times I didn't assign a leader at all, and I said rather have a leader work together. So that was more towards the end before spring break when we did that. It was gradual. We learned about roles and responsibilities. So if you feel capable and powerful, give that a check mark right there in that little circle there. And the last one is I can work with others and do my share. That means think about your group again. I can work with others. So on your poster groups for science, did you work with others and do your share? Or did you kind of wander away a little bit and not engage with your group and maybe had a discussion about, no, I don't like what you're doing, instead of working along on how to solve that problem? And I remember talking about that quite a bit with some of us, and remember some of us had a timeout on the other side of the room until they thought about how they could work with others and do their share. So if you did that, capable or powerful, give that box a check mark for me. Don't mark it if you think and you honestly know that, nope, I probably need to work on that, okay? So these check marks here are things that are telling me that you are aware of, that you know that you can do. So the rest of the boxes, it would take a long, long time to go through all of them. But parents, if you're watching, and students in the classroom, I wouldn't talk about all of them either. But I gave you an example of incidents that we know of that happens in the classroom. I might just pick one more, and let's see, in class I might have the teacher of the day make a pick. So I can't hear you back through YouTube, but let's see, which one do you think that I should, well, let's see, communication is a really good one. How about, personal and cultural identity? That's super important as well. I am me. That's important. I can celebrate who I am. Check mark. Yes, you can do that. I am proud to be me. I think most of us are capable and powerful to there. How about I know what is important to me? Yeah. What do you need? What do you require? I know what my skills and my strengths are. I can see a lot of check marks in our classroom happening right now. I belong. Now that could be a tricky question. That could be kind of hard for some people to think I belong. Sometimes people don't feel that they do belong, maybe in the classroom or outside at recess. Sometimes they feel they don't belong. So maybe if you feel that way, you might not want to check that box, but I want you to think, how could you be to belong? What do you need to do, you as your own person? What could you do to belong? What can you do, right? So, and the next one is, I am willing to challenge myself with something new. And that's the worksheets that I send out that say choice and challenge. We have it at school all the time. So you're willing to challenge yourself with something new, right? Is that something personal for you that you can challenge yourself, right? And I can give you an example to challenging myself. On Mother's Day this year, my son-in-law took me up flying in his plane, and it's a very small plane that you see flying over Langley a lot. And I have always been afraid of flying for whatever reason that was, but I've done it. I've gone on trips. But this particular flight for me was to really get over that fear, and I had to challenge myself to say, okay, listen, we're going to do this, and we're going to enjoy this, and we're going to have fun. And I did. I got into the plane, and we took off, and we went all over Langley. I saw the Fraser River from way up high. We went out to Chilliwack and back, and landed back in Langley, and to lots of cheers from my family who were watching, because they knew I really challenged myself. So I would definitely be ticking that little circle off if that was for me today. If you have any questions, please email me if you're not sure. But this might take a little while to analyze. Don't try to do it all in one sitting. It might be kind of overwhelming for some of our students. It's just a lot of thinking. It's a lot of brain power in there. So take your time, maybe do 2 a day or 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, so that you can complete this. When you're finished, here is our self-reflection on the core competencies. Competencies means something you can do. What are you competent at? And that's what these are. These are core competencies that teachers look for, part of our marking, part of framing ideas in the classroom or framing lessons or discussions come from the knowledge of those core competencies. So here's a place for you to write to me about how you're feeling. You can choose 1 or 2 of these areas, that may be one area that you're really competent at, that you feel very powerful in, and then maybe choose another area that you're feeling more undeveloped in, or you're still developing, and tell me why that is, because that's important. You're self-reflecting. You're telling me how you feel from the inside, okay? So I'm hoping that that's given you lots of instruction. It's been 18 minutes now, so we don't want to take it much more time. So time to get writing. Just jump into that. Pick one of those favorite boxes to start with, something that you can really acknowledge. I gave you all the communication ideas, so maybe start there. Okay, I've communicated that to you, so take that communication. I'm trying to connect and engage with you by communicating. And now answer those just with a tick mark, okay? And think about which ones later on that you're going to write about, okay? I want to see one that you're very capable or powerful about. Why? And then the other half of the page, tell me one of them that you are maybe undeveloped or developing, or maybe you're capable at, but you really want to improve that, okay? There's ways for you to go forward, to embrace that a little bit more, or to improve, okay? So there you have it. I hope you enjoy doing this. It'll take you a little while, so take your time. And I do need to see these all back. I would like this one for sure. And if you can send the other 2 back as well with the check marks, because then I get a good feel of what you're thinking about, because I would keep these in classroom too when I gathered them up. Okay? All right, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed today, and have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Okay? Bye for now.